Today is December 5th, 1985.
Yeah.
My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Mr. James Nero
Yeah.
in Duncan, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Mr. Nero, where were you born?
I was born 18 miles northwest of Ardmore.
And when's your birthday?
The 29th day of March. Born 1890.
Who was your father?
Thomas Nero.
And your mother?
Ellen Jackson. That was her name before she was married.
Where were your parents from?
Well, near as I can remember, they was from Mississippi. All of them were raised my grandfather's parents.
When did your folks come to Oklahoma?
Well, they was in Oklahoma when Oklahoma comes, they've been all their lives, you know. They was born here in Oklahoma, in Indian Territory, you know, when they were born.
When did your grandparents come to Oklahoma?
Well, there's sometimes in Indian Territory, I can't tell you just when, but they was here when they enrolled, all of them enrolled together.
Did you know your grandfather?
Yeah, sure did. I knew both of them.
What were their names?
My mother's parents were named Joe Jackson, and her mother's name was Rhodey Stevenson. And my dad was James Nero, and my mother was Ellen Jackson.
Now, your grandfather was born a slave, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Did you know him? You said that you did?
Grandpa Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him. He made me jump a fence one morning. He whipped me with a little old hard quirt, you know.
Did he ever talk about the slave days?
Well, they did, but now for me to tell you just what they said, I can't tell you that, but they did.
So your grandfather was a Choctaw freedman?
Yeah, both of them.
Who did they come to the territory with?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but long after, you know, the Civil War, you know, and they were free, well, I don't know how they got here. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, did they came here after they were freed?
Yeah,
okay.
They came after they were free. After this Civil War.
What kind of work did your father do?
Well, he was a hard worker. He was a farmer. He did hard work, strict, but he had his main job, though. He was an operator at a gin. He worked at the pressing cotton. He worked at the compress of the gin. That was mostly his hobby.
Did you ever work there when you were a small boy?
At the gin?
Yeah.
No. No, but I did a lot of hard work. I helped build 3 schoolhouses like this, and I helped build that log building in Pole Valley. That's where I signed off private employment in Pole Valley. But I helped build 3 rock schoolhouses just like this.
Was that a Wpa Project?
Yeah, that's no WPA project.
As a small boy, what chores you do around the farm?
Well, just farm work, you know.
How many acres could you plow in one day?
Well, you give me a good team, I could plow 8, maybe 10 acres.
Was that a walking plow?
Yeah, we walking by. We didn't know anything about riding, plowing until here about 10 years ago. I had a team of mules and bought me a riding television. That's about 70 years old when I owned the farm. I had yeah.
How big was the farm your folks settled on by Ardmore?
Well, it must have been, there was, let me see, there's my dad, But Dad, he allotted 20 acres. His land down the bottom. It was pretty higher than the land on the hill. My mother had 40 acres, and I had 40 acres, and I had a sister and brother had 40 acres of land apiece, but all of them in cultivation, you know.
What kind of crops you raise on the farm?
Well, raised cotton and corn and stuff like that, peanuts, sorghum cane, hay and stuff like that.
Tell me about chopping cotton. How do you chop cotton?
Well, you chop it with a hoe, you know. After you plant it, you cut it out to a stand, maybe 12, 14 inches apart, stalk cotton.
What time of year you start picking cotton?
Sometime it would start in August. Sometime it started in August and they'd pick up until December, sometime February. Maybe when we get to February if they had a good crop here.
How many acres could you pick in one day?
Oh, I couldn't pick the acre of cotton a day. I couldn't do that.
How many pounds?
Yeah. Well, I got to where I could pick. I could pick just about as much cotton as I could pull. I never did pull over 500, but I'd pick 300 and 400 pounds a day.
Where'd you start school?
Well, I started school at. I guess it would have been Woodford, Oklahoma. I lived right southeast of Milo, 3 miles, but I would have to walk down. They had a school right south of Woodford, down there, Hickory. I'd have to walk about 3 or 4 miles a day. But I had to walk it. Still would. And in the summertime, you know, people didn't lay by the crop set in July. They'd be pulling bunches of grass out of the cotton in July. And we'd have to go to the field early in the morning or late of evening, you know, and I'd walk from school and then come back and hoe cotton in the evening.
How long did you live on the farm by Ardmore?
Well, I lived there until I was 20 years old.
What was the name of the school you went to?
Well, it's just Hickory School land, you know.
Was it all black?
Yeah.
What was the teacher's name?
Well, the first man I went to was James. James, the name was. He was a pretty minister. The next teacher there was Layla Snowden. And then when I wound up then was Patsy Stevenson. She lived at Milo. She would drive down there with her. Teach school. Then I was transferred then back to Milo. And I went to school there. I made 2 grades. 1 year there after I moved up there. I made 2 grades, made the 5th and 6th grade. And then we built a school over across the creek. That was Roosevelt School. I went there and that's where I finished up my 8th grade.
Do you remember the big fire in Ardmore?
Big fire.
When the train blew up?
Yeah. I tell you what. I had just joined the church, and they baptized me one Sunday. And we went back to church and had got some more candidates and was baptized Monday. We was down on the creek baptized when that explosion went off.
How far from Ardmore were you?
14 miles.
Oh, you could hear it?
Yeah. It jarred the ground where we were standing.
It did?
Oh, yeah. That was in 1400. Let me see. No, it must have been 15 or 16.
Yeah.
15.
How many people were killed in that explosion?
Oh, I don't know, man. They was lost. didn't recommend, but there was one of them. And I'll tell you what, at the depot, people stand around there and they burn them so bad till maybe they just had a collar or something around the neck. And some of them people were messed up, so they had to scoop them up and put them in boxes. Yeah.
How long did it take to rebuild the town of Ardmore after that fire?
Well, we've been building on it ever since. Yeah.
What caused that explosion?
Well, they claim that there was a tank of gasoline there, and it was leaking. And the foreman or somebody went and took to tighten it with a cold steel and a hammer. And the spark from this cold steel set the blaze. Yeah.
Where did you go to enroll?
Well, my mother went to Tismingo. She enrolled.
Was she Chickasaw?
Mm-hmm.
This woman.
She went to Tismingo.
And where'd you go?
Alan. Yeah.
Well, I didn't go too far, but I left home and I went to Nero. That was in 1912. And I stayed down there till the first of 1913. I married the 23rd day of October and left from Gene and come back up in to a place where my wife lived. She lived 5 miles south of Wpa.
Did you enroll for the Dawes Commission?
Well, I don't know.
Now, they closed those rolls in 1906.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an allotment number?
Yeah, but I have to go to Ardmore again.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, when the Choctaws had their second enrollment, well, our enrollment was closed in. Let me see, that must have been in 1920, I can't tell just when, but when they had the second enrollment.
Yeah. Now, did you enroll as a Choctaw or as a Chickasaw?
Chickasaw.
Chickasaw.
Mm-hmm.
How did they decide who was going to get what piece of land when they allotted the lands?
Well, I don't know. I was just a young kid then. I think I was 9 years old when they enrolled. My mother enrolled.
Did each person get the same value of land, or how did they work that out?
Well, mostly. Now, some man was valued more than others, because some people just got 20 acres. My dad just got 20 acres. But my mother got 40, and I got 40.
What was the difference in the 20 and the 40 acres? What kind of land was it?
Well, the land down in the bottom was considered more valuable than the land up on top of the hill.
Some better cropland then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where's your allotment? Where was yours?
Up on the hill, way up on the hill.
Over by Ardmore?
No, it was, I born 3 miles and a half southeast of Milo down there. And that's where I was born and raised, down there, but at 18 miles from Ardmore.
Is that where your allotment was?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any memories of the Spanish-American War?
No, I don't. I don't remember. I only knew what the people told me. What I heard people say about it. I had an old friend of mine. He used to tell me, he'd sit down and talk about that. He said where he lived, said one evening, one day, that the soldiers coming from the north passed on horseback, going south. And he said that they went, he didn't know how long it taken them, but said anyhow that's when the war it began. Right along about then, but I can't think about, he didn't tell me just what year it was. But he told me how they traveled. They traveled by horseback.
Now, was that the Civil War?
Yeah, that's Civil War. They traveled by horseback.
Ever meet Buck Garrett?
Buck Garrett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I campaigned for Buck Garrett many times.
Tell me about it. What kind of man is he?
Oh, he was a good man, but he would sure kill you too. Buck Garrett was. Buck Garrett and Bud Blue, you know, both of them was bad men, you know, and they got to be partners on the carnival. They're so bad. And I know one time they was trying to wake up a rock down there. There was a colored man had a kid by a white woman down there, and they had him in jail. And they outsiders, you know, they figured on come getting him in Lincoln. Well, at that time, the black folks, they had a house. They had, I don't know what they were looking for, but they had any kind of machine they were fixed on. So Buck Garrett went out, got him a truck, and went down the feed store and got a load of feed, and they set it all around in the jailhouse, and went down to the boys. The boys said, the fix to come get McGee tonight, tomorrow tonight, man. You better get ready. But they didn't come. I thought, we'll stop that route.
Yeah. You ever have much trouble with that around Ardmore?
That used to be, I have worked for people to tell you what, I've worked for them and fed me out on a tree sheet. Couldn't go in the house. And one time me and another man by the name of Beb Jones, we was renting from the same man. I was on the south and he was on the north. And we was campaigning for the sheriff then in Ardmore. And over on Caddo Street there, well, there was a man over there, he was in business, and we went over there, you know. And when he went in, and I started in, he said, no, said, we don't allow niggers in here. And this fellow was with me, so I said, hey, you had to do? He said, this boy's with me. He said, he's going where I go. So that's the way that was.
They let you in?
Yeah, they let me in.
Tell me about Caddo Street. I've heard it was pretty bad.
Well, that's mostly where everybody hangs out. You know, colored people mostly on Caddo. And I used to work for two sets of Chinamen on the street on Caddo. I worked on the north side and on the west side of it. And so I worked there about, in the wintertime, this way I'd go to town and get my job. But when it comes spring, I'd get out in the street.
Yeah, what kind of work did you do for the Chinamen there?
Well, I worked in the kitchen. And
they had a restaurant? Or?
Yeah, they had a restaurant.
What year was that you worked for?
Well, that must have been along about last 1911, or first of 1911. Long about that time, yeah, I guess. And then I worked for a man, T.B. Johnson. He lived up to west town there. Well, the second cook. The sheriff cook was over me. She was a white lady. And we had about 50 men. It was the drummers. And we'd start in the morning. Every morning we'd be in the kitchen at 6 o'clock. We'd start saving about 8. And it'd take us about 9, 10 to get through. I'd stay on maybe till about 10 o'clock. I'd be off in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, then I'd go back, and I'd stay on till about 3, and I'd be off until about 6 o'clock at evening.
Do you remember Statehood Day?
Remember when he come in?
Yeah.
I remember the morning statehood come in.
Tell me about that day. What'd you do?
Well, after statehood come in, the first thing I remembered was we elected a man down there by the name of Will Leslie. He was the first constable, Will Leslie. He was the first constable.
Is this in Milo?
Yeah, that was in Milo. He lived in the Newport. He was the first constable, and the old man, Tad Maddox, was the first justice of peace out there. Yeah.
Was there a big celebration that day on statehood?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, everybody was carried away by being statehood, you know. But it changed up a lot of stuff then, because then people, they didn't know nothing about, they had no passes and put the stock in, they just had an open range, you know. They'd brand the stock and they'd go, sometimes they'd go clean the red road. They had to go way down there, looking for the stock. But when statehood come, then they had to go get the passes to keep the stock in. And they changed laws then. A man could farm, and he didn't have to put no fence on his farm, but he did have to put a fence on his stock. Sure did.
Did you celebrate that day?
Oh, I was big enough. I was fortunate celebrating I could do, you know.
What'd you do?
Oh, I don't know. Well, just playing on. They was all talking about statehood, and I started trying to be happy. I don't know what I was happy about, because I didn't know about statehood. But I was just happy because all the rest of them was happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ever hear about the Sequoia Convention?
Which?
The Sequoia Convention, where they tried to make Indian Territory a separate state.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was back in 1906.
No, that's too small for that.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll tell you what, what closed the Chickasaw Freedmen enrollment. There was a man, neighbor, lived that close to me, and then I had a auntie, her husband, and another man, a Gene Arthur. They put up so much money to keep them from opening up the Freedmen Road there. Somehow, there's somebody, and that's how come to do that. I remember that.
When was that?
Let me see, that is long about when the Choctaws had the last second enrollment, sometime along there. Mm-hmm.
What is the definition of a Choctaw or Chickasaw freedman? How do you become a freedman? What?
Well, I can't hardly explain that, because you see, I didn't study too much history or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to school long enough, you know. So when I finished 8th grade, well, then I quit school. And I don't know too much about that history. But I know one thing, these men what I was telling you about, they married Choctaws. They was Choctaws and they married Choctaws. And they didn't want the freedmen to equalize with them somehow or another, that way. Now them three men was Ed Abram, Jesse McGee, and the Cohee. This man was Cohee, lived at Gene Arthur.
How come your enrollment name is different than your given name?
Well, I don't know. See, after my grandpa somehow or another he just used his owner's name mostly. But we got mail to by both names. Got name by Todd, got mail by Nero. That model was.
Now, what's your enrollment name? What?
Lady J. Dar.
How you spell your last name?
D-Y-E-R.
D-Y-E-R.
Mm-hmm. When I signed up for my pension, well, out before he was postman, and his boy, David Davis. Well, I had to get out the record and prove that my name was Dar instead of Nero. That I was eligible for that. And Delta, where he signed in, he said, "I said, this is Lady J. Dar." I said, my dad run the post office 20 years and we got mail in both names. So we used both names. When we were dealing with land and everything, I had to use Dar. It'd be Lady J. Nero, Dar.
Yeah.
That's what he was.
What was the man's name that owned your grandfather? What was his full name?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember World War I?
I sure do. I was,
That
was in 19, when?
17 and 18.
17, 18.
Well,
Well, you know, the place was 600. And place 600. Well, they missed me, but when they got that 608, they got it. And I was living down that 14 mile Northwest of Ardmore. And I went one morning. I left home about 3 o'clock. And boy, meanwhile, I hadn't been long married, you know. I was married at 18, you know. And I had a young wife. She was good looking, you know. And I could hear her crying about 3 miles. That way in the night, I was leaving home. Well, I got way on over there, and I walked them 14 miles, didn't have nowhere to go. But I left home and I went walking. And I had to go out across the big flat and I could hear her crying at about a mile, 3 miles more. So I went on and just as I got on top, just going in the edge of Ardmore, day began to break. And I looked back home and boy, then tears began to fall. So I went on, and there were 75 of us black boys there, and there was a house full of white boys. And the man said, well, I said, all the colored boys be excused till 1 o'clock. But we went on out, and we went out up there, and them fellas, what you had them little small places? They says coming down the street, boy, you'll see them locking up in July. Cause we take all the cigar candy everything, yeah, if they didn't get out of there. Then they form a ring right down in the street. The dice game had a door, you know. And nobody didn't ball us either. They'd have to go around trying to go another street there. Till 1 o'clock, we went up there, and I was the second man in the second row across the district courthouse. And this boy was sitting side of me when he went out, come round. They said, oh, say he's the son man. I know that wasn't true because all those people who died is dead now with the TB. They all died with TB. But when he come out and went around to put his testimony on, said, oh, he'll pass. I know what I was doing then. So when I went out, come around, come back, the doctors put his test on me, said, turn around. They put it in the back. Then he said, turn around and put it on there. And he said something about Doc Hardy. He was a doctor at that time. He come back, he had one of them great big old tests. He said, yes, he rejected, but I didn't know what the man was talking about. I was scared to get, I guess. I didn't know. And he gave me a little piece of paper bottle like that. And I went, they had 4 parts of the board. And I went on 4 parts of the board. And all of them wrote something on it. And when I come back, he said, yes, you rejected. He said, put on your clothes, and I'll have a gift out. Roll up. And that's when I know they had against me. Now they against me on TV. Now that was back then, for TV. And the other boy, what's the fast up, went to the army and lived 6 months, come back and died with TV. So, that's where I've been, boy.
What did you do on Armistice Day? The day the war ended, November 11th.
Down home, flat on my back with the flu. Every boy thought I was going to die. See, I had taken the flu, and I got up and taken a little bath with it. Every boy thought I was going to die. Down home with the flu, man, sick, when the armistice was signed. And I had a brother, he was to go.
What kind of medicine they used during that flu?
Well, I tell you the truth, boy, them old folks, see, we had midwives and we had old folks, old doctor, old herb doctor. They used any kind they could take. They had root called conquerjon, they had balm, they had all kinds of stuff like that.
What do those roots do? What are the names of them again?
We call them conquerjon. This is what it is. And we had a balm on it, got awake. And they had this balm on it, that root, plus root, that was for cold. Then they'd boil hog toes, make you drink the tea off that. And I'll tell you, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law had now you ought to let this go, be told. But he went out and he got one in his tea and boiled and made me drink water off that. Soon enough,
What are the other roots that you named?
Balmony, conquerjon, and
What does that conquerjon do?
oh, it's just a big root. That's for cold, for pain. They use that for pain.
What do you boil it or what do you do with it?
Boil it, use water over it.
And what's the other root?
Balmony. That was
Balmony?
Balmony. That was for your balls, you know,
Yeah.
make your balls.
Mm-hmm.
And them hog toes, that'd be in with that conquerjon.
Yeah.
I've known people killed even one of that stuff. I had
And what kind of water did he make you drink?
You too. You ain't gonna put that down there.
No.
He's retarded. It's on your tape.
No, it ain't. Is it? Well,
You better be good.
well, then if you want to put that on there, that's him. But that's the way it is. And I tell you, I had a time.
What caused that flu?
I think that's just something that come in after you see the people over there. That exposed, I guess, the weather. I don't know. I guess it's exposed.
How did you when did you go in the WPA program?
Well, that was in 33. Long about 33, because 32, I had moved from Marlow up here, north of Ardmore down there. I had moved there 2 miles north, 2 miles west, and I enrolled. Well, I tell you what, I went in there, there's a big settlement of people there. Well, what I was used to being with folks. I was elected as after I joined the church, they ordained me to the deacon board. Then they appointed me as superintendent of Sunday school. They sent me to Congress that year, and I was one of the delegates. One of the delegates they picked to bring in all the reports, see. And I was secretary of that report. And after I found out, I learned what it was all about. Well, then I got with it, and I went back home. And, I moved up the creek then, 6 miles west of where I was living. And I had a horse, I had a mare, buckskin mare, and I had a pair of mules. I'd get on my horse every Sunday morning, go around and have my Sunday school, then I'd come back and had a big school, Roosevelt schoolhouse. And I organized a BTU.
What's that?
That's a training union for people, Mm-hmm. We'd have classes. Yeah, that's what it is, BT, Baptist Training Union, that's what it is. And we'd have programs Sunday evening sometime, we'd have singing, and we'd just go all around and sing, Well, after I moved from down there, got up in this settlement, there was 3 deacons in that settlement, and there was a big settlement of colored people. We moved up there the 12th day of December, and the first program we had was the 2nd day of May. And I told them, I said, I'm not used to this. I said, I'm used to going to church. I'm used to being with people. I'm used to people. Well, I organized a little community club there. We'd meet every second Wednesday night. And if you had something you wanted to discuss, if she had something, we'd discuss it,
Mm-hmm.
So I got that going pretty good. Then I said to the deacons, let's organize Sunday school. I got my Sunday school organized, and we got it going pretty good. Well, long about the last day of April, I said, let's get up a Mother's Day program. We got up our program and everything. Well, we had to get a man out of Davis to preach. But the man supposed to have been pastor there, his name was Carter. He lived at Winniewood. Well, this man had to get permission from this preach that second Sunday. Well, after we got that done, the first Sunday in June, he come out there. And, he said, I'm going to tear that thing all to pieces. He tore it all to pieces. And he never could get back organized like it was. We was going, when he come out there. And, he messed around and got in some of his devilment, and had to get rid of him anyhow. See? And, they was talking about, this man was talking about prosecuting him with about his good. And the deacon said, he's trying to want us to go in with him. I told him, I said, listen here, let me tell you something. I said, you better let that man go head on with that and you stay out of it. I said, now there's a different way to go at it. I said, now the rule is, when you call pastor to a church, he's pastor as long as he's satisfied with the church and the church is satisfied with the pastor. I said, have you seen anything? I just asked him all questions. I said, well, you better let him alone. I said, you fix that, so that man put us all on this.
Yeah.
And so that's what we got rid of it. Yeah.
I was going to ask, when did you start building the armories? The schools?
Yeah. Well, it was long in 33. Long sometime in that, I think.
What kind of work you do on the buildings? What'd you do?
Well, I was Quinn Rock at first. And old man Nichols out of Paul Valley, he was a labor man. And Montgomery, he was administrator. And we'd square them rocks up. We'd go down to the stack seam, to lay flat. And they'd probably do, if you ever let the air get in there, boy, they'd come up right as long as this house, wide as this house. And we'd get under that and throw a line across there and mark it. We had some bits about that long. I drilled them over about that foot apart.
About a foot apart?
Yeah. And then we'd start driving these railroad spikes through them. We'd cut them rock off about that wide.
About a foot wide?
Yeah.
About 2 feet long?
Yeah. And
How thick were they?
Oh, they'd be that thick sometimes.
4, 5, 6 inches?
Yeah, they'd be, sometimes they'd be.
Where did you quarry the rock? Where at?
Arbuckle.
Arbuckle?
Yeah, Arbuckle. Anywhere we could get it. We sometimes quarried around up there close towards Elmo out in them prairie there, you know. But mostly we got them at Arbuckle. And this time when they would come down there, we had quarried them on the rock and rigged them. All the truck had to do is just drive up there and load the rock. Well, old man Nichols, he laid his hand on the sand rock. He said, "The man can cut this rock any way he wants." I said, "Mr. Mr. Nichols," I said, "I beg your pardon." I said, "You see that blue limestone rock over there?" "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that rock cut over this rock will break all the pieces." I said, "Boy, you done said too much. Let's go up to the car." Went up there and had me to sign a card. And this man was in here a while ago. He didn't know her husband. His stepdad. Me and him worked together. He said, who worked with you? I said, Albert Rich. They called him up there. And they called him up there and he signed him a card too. Well, that was on a Tuesday. Well, that day of the week, we got an I card. That was still labor card. We were getting as much as every man on the job just because I told him about that rock.
Yeah.
Put me to cutting rock then. Then, see, I went to that building.
Yeah. Mr. Nero, how long are you going to be here today?
Oh, I'll be here till 2 o'clock.
Okay. Let me shut this off. Okay, Mr. Nero. We were talking about the armory that you were working on
Yeah,
and quarrying all the stone.
yeah.
How long did you work with the Wpa Project?
Well, I worked with that about, let me see, I must have worked 4 or 5 years. I worked with it from 33 up until about 41 or 2.
What kind of salary were they paying back then?
Well, they was paying anywhere from 214, I think 14, maybe 290 something. They wasn't paying too much.
Is that a day?
An hour.
An hour.
Don't you know, a day.
Yeah.
A day.
How was that program organized, building the schools and the armories? Who was in charge of all that?
Well, they had different projects, different people. They come in projects, you know. And you take Montgomery, he was administrator over Carter and Murray and Garvin. And I don't know, maybe other counties, but I know he's over Carter and Garvin.
How did they decide what projects they were going to work on?
Well, they would just appoint, I guess, some choice. They'd meet every other season at all in Boston and everything. And the commission would meet with them and they'd take these projects.
You know who was the state administrator for the program?
John B. But he was in Oklahoma City. John B. something. Because I know, I tell you what, how come you know? When the first project come out, there was a CWA come out. And that started in December, and I worked on that from December up until April. We completed that project. And the WPA project started then. And I didn't get no work on WPA from April until July. And how come me to get work on that? I'm trying to think of the man's name. But anyhow, we had a little club organized down there. And I told the boys one night, I said, I don't want a committee. He said, what you going to do with a committee? I said, I'm going to Oklahoma City governor. Governor Marlin, I think, was governor then. Well, the white people was working on the project, but the blacks wasn't getting no work on the project, see, and they was giving away groceries up there in Paul Valley, and the whites would go up there and get these groceries, well, then we'd have to go to their house and take what they give us. So I said, I want a project. I want a committee. Well, 6 of us formed ourselves in a committee and went to Oklahoma City one Monday, stayed all night. That Tuesday we went on out to the governor, went on out to the Capitol. And I went in before the governor, laid my complaints out again. Told him we had widow women down there that didn't have no work and they had kids to take care of, everything. And he gave me a piece of paper about like that, told me, John Aidman, that was his name. So you take this over there to Mr. Aidman. And I went on over there, but Aidman wasn't in that morning. That was on Monday, Tuesday. But the secretary went to the telephone and he said, the committee of colored people over here said, you sent them over here. He must have told me did. He said, Mr. Aidman ain't here, but I'll take it up with him in the morning. He's going to come. So I was on a Wednesday. Well, that Thursday week, every man that's eligible to get a white card went to work, got a white card, go to work. That's when those widows went to join them widows' pension you I'm talking about. And I have to say I was called because I wasn't reported.
What kind of work you start doing?
Well, on WPA, I got a white card one morning. No man left and he was commissioner up there at Elmore City. And boy, we didn't have salt. No. We didn't have nothing. I did 11 miles from Elmore City. I take this white card and went up there and waited till old man Ledson would come in. And he had a sheep pasture right east of Elmore City up on top of the hill. I went in there and I told him, I said, Mr. Ledson, I said, my people's hungry. We ain't got nothing to eat, and we ain't got no job, got no way to do nothing. I said, I want some groceries. And he takes me in there to Amos Drennan and told him I had a butt card to go to work and I need some groceries. And I had one big old 4-bushel oat sack. I put a 25-pound sack of flour in there, 25 pounds of meat, 26-pound sack of meat. I had lard, I had sugar, I had coffee, meat, iced potatoes, and I don't know what all. My wife dipping up, had to get some stuff. Well, the boy had lived down there. His name was, I forgot his name, but he moved from down there where we lived, and they used to raise sweet potatoes, and we'd all have to have them grass and sweet potatoes. But I went out, he camped out there, and I went out to get him, carry the stuff home from it. And his brother had the card campaigning, you know. And so, I put that stuff on my shoulder and went right out across the field from Elmore City. And just as I got up on top of the field, the sun went down. Now, I was 11 miles from home. The sun went down, see. Well, I come out over there to a fellow by the name of Clyde Cogan. His car was down. He was a friend of mine. His car was down. I come right on out to the section line, out of the west, a mile west, mile north, mile west, Katy. I put that stuff on, went right on this mile, turned on in the field, and I had to go miles south, then went back down through the scrubs, they called it. I got on about 10 o'clock. I packed all that stuff on my shoes. I left my... And, I was working over there then for Siamese. I was digging a cell over there. And 33, I dug 2 stone cellars. Me and the old boy cut 150 wicks of wood. The first 50 wicks of wood we just cut, we got 75 cents a wick for it. And the 100 wicks we got 50 cents a wick for it. And I cut 1,300 poles, we got 3 cents for them. Dug 2 stone cellars, we got $25 a piece for them. I did that, 133. And So after I went to work on this WPA, then I worked from then on up until about 41 when I quit working. I signed off and went to work with them grandboys on the farm. I signed off and they wrote me a card and told me they wanted to congratulate me for making other important WPA. Said when your job's complete, sign this card and be needed to put back to work. Well, my house burned down there in 50, and that card burned up. And I never did. I went and fooled around, and after I got off, after I was going home one evening, I seen Dick around. I said, Dick, how's the cotton? He said, oh, I got 80 acres, pretty good cotton. He goes, I said, if I sign off for private employment, will you give me a job? He said, yeah. I said, I had 3 or 4 kids big enough to pick. I said, how many of my kids? Yeah, you and your kids. You could pick as long as I had a lock and wouldn't put too many hands in the field. But you know, every so often when they'd go to pay me, they'd raise my checks $5. And grandboys. So we got through picking his cotton. Bill Moore is a friend of theirs. He lived up there in the mountain, up in the mountain. He had cotton, he had some corn, he had some pecans, and we got through with the grandboys. Went up there and gathered Bill Moore's cotton, pulled his corn, and he had some pecans. We gathered them. Come back across the creek, and there was a widow woman over there. My husband, me and him was Primrose. And she had about 300 or 400 acres of land, all up and down the bottom, there's pecans everywhere. We went to gather pecans for her. And I pulled around and gathered all her pecans. Well, that's the pecan crop we go together. I went to work for an old man down there for $1.25 a day. I knew I couldn't make it. But I was just hard. That doesn't see. I'd leave home sometimes. I didn't know what my color of my house was till Sunday morning. I'd leave for a day, come in at night, and I was just hard. So, well, struck a fellow. I was in Davis, and the man right down west of me there had a big house, and there's a big spring down there. So I started waiting for a man to get there. Down before the gasoline started running. I said, the man could raise some beans or something down here and all that good, man. So I'm going down there and see if I can rent this place. And the boy had rented it. He had turned his contract back. And I walked in and spoke to old man Freeman about it. He said, he just sold me this boy's contract. He said, you raise beans? Yeah, you can just come on back and show my wife about it. She laughed at me about it. When the man's place didn't have something to work with. Well, an old boy had a pair of old news that he said, I think $40 for him. Well, we went up to Wingwood up there, just waiting at the bank. I talked to Earl Crump. Phil Hill knew I'm gonna move too damn old. I couldn't have dancing on my own. Coming on back, we met a man. He had a tractor. He had 2 horses, and mules. I said, Mr. you want to trade that mule? He said, yeah. I said, what did you get? Where you going for? He said, I take $20. You could buy a good horse or mule then for $25. I said, well, I don't have no money. Don't have the money to buy them. But I said, couldn't a fellow trade you out of them or something? He said, what you got to trade on them? I told him, I said, well, I've got a couple of gifts over there. One of them mine and one of my wife. But I trade you mine. He said, how big is he? I told him. He said, well, I tell you what I'll do. Because I'll allow you $8 for your gift. And you buy me $5 worth of 3 loads or $5 worth of gasoline. And you can have the mule and you can wait the rest of it out. I went on back and told K.S. about it. He said, you go over and tell that man to come back. Come over here and look at these oats. And if you like them, I'll just give you $5. So, well, I went and got the man. And he come over and looked at them. The oats is all right. So, Fred Primrose, the boy, son of this woman I said about, he one got most and carried them over there, well, then I got some mules. See, I had married in the sharecropper, but old man got it. Yeah, and I had some corn, I had some old shotgun on it. Brought my mule home, I had a mule then. Well, my son-in-law, he lived in Katy. He come down there, so he said, what you do, you come up there. I was up there at the bank, and $40, $50, you get your name. Get your mule horse something. Well, I went there, my boy, this $50, and Lawson Huffman, he worked for old man now. Oh, the man lived there in Elmo City. What was his name? I forgot his name now. But anyhow, he had two horses. He had a roan horse and a bay horse. And I gave him $25 for the bay horse. Well, I had my team. They didn't have no plotting. One boy man's plotting block was a day and a half. Got down, changed the point off and carried it back in the shop. And he met the man, said about the plow. I said, Nero, I need to plow in the morning. I said, that plow. My son-in-law told me, he said, you come up, I'm going to plow my turkey. You come get my plow and keep it. Said, well, I made picked about 4 bales and half cotton that year, and I made about 9, 10 loads of corn. Well, this horse, then he takes blind teeth right there, and that teeth had to come out right up there, you know. The horse killed him. And I had to go I got another fellow back taking Bill Carter. We carried me over there to Winterwood. He went in there and told him, he went in there and bought me $225. Well, the man down in Tatum had a mule and a cow for $100. Well, we bought this cow before we left. He come back, the fellow said, well, he said, I still take $50 for the mule, but the fellow come in here offered me $75 for the cow. I said, I can't look at it. Joe Carter said, yeah, we done bought that cow. We bought it for $50, see? We got your money, here's your money. So he couldn't say, see, we done bought it, we done played for it. And I got in my car and carried on. She raised me. I went and bought another old cow where I was working at. I bought it for $15, an old J cow. And they bought me 2 heifer calves that year. And my wife hand him over $40 to clean. I carried Davis in a bucket too.
How far is Davis?
Davis about 9 miles from where I live. And well, so I went to farming. See, I quit deputy and went to farming for myself. I was in that peanut deal, you know. I was in that peanut deal, and I was in that, these peanut peas. You know, they had what you call that. Anyhow, I was in that. I was in that, you know. So, well, what do they call them beans? You know, made oil. I was in that deal.
Soybeans?
Soybeans. I was in that deal. And so, well, I just worked around here and yonder on the farm, you know, raising cotton and corn. And so they come up. They had an old oil well down there in the field, and every now and then they'd come in there, they had to shut off, and they'd blow out this steam, you know. And so I had a patch of corn upside the hill, and there was drilling the oil well up, just up the other side of it, up on top of the hill. And one morning, that well blowed in, oil field, see? And they wouldn't shut it off. Well, the next morning, this oil well is drilled up on top of it, come out and went right down off the south end of the plant. Well, I had a cotton patch running down this way, and they dug the oil well, then next right north of that, and it went out and went right across the plant. So I went down there and told Freeman, I said, Mr. Freeman, I said, them fellows is about to ruin the crop out there. I said, he went up a little one, went down across the cornfield, and one by I said, well, great season. I said, I'd rather have all well in the crop, so I never paid him another nickel worth of rent. So that's the way it did, and I stayed there until 50. And I moved back in Carter County up there for another old man. He had a big ranch up there. I moved over there, and I went to working over there with him. So, boy, I'm telling you, and I was 75, and I was living there in Tatum. And they would drive, there was a man driving a truck, my son-in-law. He'd come up there and pick us up and cast, and we'd go to Maine. I was pulling 500 pounds of cotton at 75 when I was 75 years old.
500 pounds a day?
500 a day.
Were you pulling or picking?
Pulling.
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 Tell me some more about your childhood, the old days. What kind of games y'all play when you were kids?
Baseball is about the only thing I know. And I played that up until about 2 years after I married. I played first base and I played back catch and a pitch. But I was back catching when I quit playing ball. A fellow struck out the ball and hit me right up across there one day.
On the head?
Yeah. And I quit playing baseball. I haven't been doing more baseball.
Do you know many of the old Chickasaw Indians? Did you know many of them?
Well, I did know then. But put you all the older people, you know, a lot of the land there, they was considered Indians, you know, back then.
Yeah. Ever hear any stories about the Trail of Tears when the Indians came to Indian territory?
No, never heard anything about that. But them Choctaws, they was, see, I don't know, when the Pilgrims landed, they found the Indians here. That was Choctaws. When the Pilgrims landed, well, they found the Indians here. And I'm thinking, you know, that kind of sets me in mind. That a lot of people, you know, don't know why we celebrate Thanksgiving.